The day the sky blinked. The first alien ship didn't arrive with fire, thunder, or the kind of dramatic entrance humans had always imagined. It arrived like a glitch in reality. At 3:17 Universal Time Coordinated, weather satellites over the Pacific Ocean began transmitting corrupted data. At first, analysts assumed solar interference. Then every orbital camera, civilian, military, even private commercial telescopes, snapped to the same point in space. A perfectly circular absence. No reflection. No radiation. No thermal signature. Just a black distortion hanging above the Pacific like someone had burned a hole straight through the universe. Then the stars behind it blinked. Not twinkled. Blinked. Like something massive had just moved between Earth and the rest of existence. General Marcus Hale was signing divorce papers when his phone rang. He stared at it for a full 3 seconds, hoping it would stop. It didn't. His lawyer sighed. "If that's work, you should take it. You look like a man who misses being shot at." Hale answered. "Listened." Said only one sentence. "I'll be there in 20. He didn't finish signing. Didn't say goodbye. Just grabbed his coat and walked out like gravity had shifted directions. 3 hours later, he stood inside Strategic Command, staring at the main display as the distortion began to change shape. It wasn't descending. It was unfolding. Like space itself had been folded and was now being carefully opened by something that understood physics the way humans understood breathing. The object grew. Expanded. Layers sliding apart like petals made of polished white metal, or something pretending to be metal. Within minutes, it dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. The final estimate came in quietly over the comms. Object mass equivalent to small moon. Nobody spoke for nearly 10 seconds. Then Hale muttered, "Well, that's new." The world didn't panic. Not immediately. The ship just hovered. Silent. Motionless. Watching. No weapons deployed. No signals broadcast. No movement toward Earth orbit. Just observation. Markets dipped. News networks screamed. Religious leaders declared everything from salvation to apocalypse. And every military on Earth quietly moved to maximum readiness. But Earth wasn't the only place watching. Across the galaxy, millions of civilizations tuned into a live broadcast hosted by the Council of Nine, the closest thing existence had to a galactic government. They didn't broadcast it as a warning. They broadcast it as entertainment. Earth was catalogued as a primitive, emotional species. Technologically interesting. Psychologically unstable. Militarily loud but strategically irrelevant. Most expected the same pattern seen 1,000 times before. Aliens arrive. Primitive species panics. Short resistance. Assimilation or extinction. Good ratings either way. Inside the alien vessel, Observer Prime XY Thala studied humanity through layered quantum projections. Subject species exhibits high tribal aggression, it reported calmly. Technological tier, early stellar edge. Internal conflict rate, extremely high. Threat level, negligible. A junior observer hesitated, its crystalline limbs trembling slightly. Prime, they have launched an object. XY Thala rotated one fractal eye toward the display. A single craft was leaving Earth orbit. Chemical propulsion. Visible heat plume. Primitive guidance corrections. Pathetic. Trajectory? XY Thala asked. Projected to miss our position by approximately 2.3 million kilometers. A pause. Then ignore it. Around the Council broadcast network, entire civilizations laughed. Primitive species throwing rocks at gods. The human object passed the alien vessel exactly as predicted. No course correction. No weapons activation. It just kept going. Then it detonated. Not with force. With light. A perfectly spherical burst of electromagnetic radiation exploded outward, not toward the alien ship, but past it. Into deep space. A signal. Encoded across thousands of frequencies simultaneously. Inside the alien ship, warning systems triggered, not from damage, but from recognition. The signal wasn't random. It contained structured data. Languages. Mathematics. Star charts. Human war archives spanning thousands of years. And at the end, one translated message, repeated in hundreds of communication formats. "We see you." XY Thala went perfectly still. "Prime," the junior observer whispered. "They didn't target us." "No," XY Thala said slowly. "They announced us." On Earth, General Hale lit a cigar in a room filled with classified equipment and very visible NO smoking signs. "Patch me into global broadcast," he said. A communications officer blinked. "Sir, you don't have authorization to patch me in." Something in his voice ended the conversation. Moments later, every screen on Earth flickered. Hale appeared, tired eyes, old scars, uniform slightly wrinkled like he'd slept in it for a decade. Behind him, the alien ship, hanging over the Pacific like judgment. He exhaled smoke. "All right," he said. "To whoever just showed up. Welcome to Earth." Another drag. "You picked a bad time. Humanity's been looking for someone bigger than us to punch." Across the galaxy, laughter faded. Because for the first time in recorded history, a primitive species didn't ask who the aliens were. They asked how many there were. Then Earth's oceans began to glow. Satellite feeds revealed massive structures rising from hidden shipyards buried under seafloors, deserts, mountain ranges, projects labeled decommissioned decades ago. Cold War black programs. Denied space militarization treaties. Things governments had sworn never existed. And none of them were new. They were old. Maintained. Waiting. The signal Earth launched wasn't just a greeting. It was a beacon. A locator pulse. A call sign. Deep in uncharted space, beyond council patrol zones, old receivers woke from standby modes older than some civilizations. Ancient human transponders processed the signal, confirmed authentication codes, and automatically forwarded one message across dozens of hidden channels. Home is threatened. Somewhere in dark interstellar space. Engines older than modern nations ignited. Ships that had left Earth generations ago changed course. And accelerated. Toward home. Back above the Pacific, the alien vessel finally moved. Not toward Earth. Away from it. Just slightly. Like for the first time. It wasn't entirely sure who was observing who. On the Council broadcast, viewership numbers shattered historical records. Not because they expected humanity to lose, but because suddenly, no one was sure how this story ended. And on Earth, General Hale watched the alien ship adjust position and quietly muttered to himself. "Good," he said. "Now you're nervous." Humanity's mistake. The Council of Nine convened immediately, their projections flickering across light years of video and quantum comms. Alien ambassadors, lords, and bureaucrats all leaned closer to see the primitive species' audacity. XY Thala, still pulsing in silent disbelief, reported. "Prime, they are active. They did not strike. They did not flee. They simply announced themselves." The junior observer shivered. "But Prime, the beacon, the signal, it contained their entire war history. Detailed planetary conflicts. Strategic doctrines. Weapons schematics." XY Thala rotated a fractal eye. "Correct. They weaponized their history. Not against us, against the galaxy's perception of them. Across Earth, humanity did the unthinkable. They invited the aliens to talk. A single shuttle launched from a hidden orbital platform, unarmed, unescorted, its crew a single person, Ambassador Elena Torres. Former combat pilot. Diplomat. Survivor of 3 Black Ops missions that officially never existed. Her hair was pulled back tight, expression sharper than a vibroblade. She carried 2 gifts. One, a flask of Earth whiskey. The other, a data drive labeled simply Human History, Unedited. The alien vessel, an object of a million simulations, had no protocols for this. It had prepared for war. It had prepared for surrender. It had prepared for terror. It had not prepared for coffee and whiskey. Inside the chamber where XY Thala and Elena faced each other, silence stretched thin. Then Elena leaned forward. "So you're the ones who sterilized the Korthan worlds," she said casually. XY Thala's eye fractured in confusion. "We, the Korthan? You were thorough," she continued, flipping open her drive. "Decades of data, species-wide sterilization, cultural wipeouts. You made sure no one remembered you existed, except the recordings you left." The council feed back home exploded into outrage. "How could primitives intercept our transmissions? They're not supposed to know. They don't have technology for this." Elena sipped her coffee. "Oh, we have tech. We've just been listening longer than you've been watching. Ever wonder why Earth radio signals never seem random?" Her tone was casual. Polite. Deadly. Back on Earth, General Hale watched the live feed. He lit a cigar, the glow cutting across the dim command center. "They're galaxy cops," he muttered. "Every universe has bullies with paperwork. And now our coffee lady is about to serve them a triple espresso of truth." He gestured toward the map of alien fleets, hovering over Earth. "Let them watch. Let them squirm. Let them know we've been paying attention too." The Council offered Earth a protectorate agreement. Join peacefully. Disarm completely. Receive superior technology. Lose all independence. Standard galactic procedure. Workable on thousands of species. Effective 99% of the time. Earth's response arrived 2 hours later. Not through diplomacy channels. Not through ambassadors. Through every broadcast network on the planet. "Absolutely not," read the message. Plain. Defiant. Humanity unfiltered. But Earth didn't attack. Instead, they revealed something worse. They released the Council's own war crimes to every species in the galaxy. Sterilized planets. Cultural erasures. Genocide sanctioned as administrative measures. All meticulously documented. All verified. All undeniable. The galaxy didn't unite against Earth. It fractured. And then came the response. A transmission unlike any before came through the hidden frequencies of Jupiter's orbit. "USS Last Call reporting in. Anyone still alive down there?" The voice was gruff. Familiar. Human. A generation ship returning from deep space, part of Project Exodus, a program born in humanity's darkest Cold War paranoia. Hale's eyes narrowed. "You've got to be kidding me." The ship wasn't alone. Dozens of other vessels, long thought abandoned, powered up. Some bore decades of dust and corrosion, others had evolved, self-repairing with unknown tech scavenged from deep space. Humans who had left Earth long ago were coming back. And they were angry. Alien fleets moved to intercept. And humanity didn't respond with conventional warfare. They fought like predators, not soldiers. Asteroids became missiles. Gravitational slingshots turned into kinetic death traps. Boarding pods carried Marines who laughed while dismantling alien hulls from the inside out. Strategy manuals meant nothing. Algorithms failed to predict their movements. Humans made decisions designed to look irrational, and then exploited the confusion. One Marine captain reportedly told an alien commander during a boarding action, "Relax. We're not here to kill you." The alien paused. "We're here to make sure you tell everyone else what happens if they try this again." Across the galaxy, species began asking themselves questions. Not, who are the humans? But, who isn't human afraid of? Humanity didn't need to be strongest. They just needed to be human. And while the Council scrambled, Earth sent another signal. One that no one in the galaxy could ignore. The diaspora, the lost colonies, the generation ships, the secret militarized communities beyond the solar system, were listening. And they were returning home. The Cowboys come home. The first response didn't come with trumpets or diplomacy. It came with engines screaming through the void, flares cutting trails across Jupiter's orbit like firecrackers. The USS Last Call wasn't a shiny, elegant vessel. It was scarred. Rusted. Patchwork metal plates covered decades-old repairs. Yet its guns were pointed at the void with lethal precision. A single broadcast went out over an old human frequency, a relic from Earth's Cold War. "You finally found someone worth fighting?" General Hale stared at the feed, cigar forgotten. "You've got to be kidding me, they're actually coming back." The Council panicked. The galaxy, accustomed to predictable primitives, panicked harder. The humans weren't just defending their home. They were returning in force, ships that had been hiding, surviving, evolving for decades. The diaspora wasn't organized. It wasn't unified. It was worse, experienced. Humans who had left Earth during secret programs, self-sufficient in deep space, hardened by survival and hardship, now converged on the solar system. Pirates. Warlords. Mercenaries. Scientists turned soldiers. Mothers and fathers who had never seen Earth except in grainy projections. And all of them carried one message. Threaten our home, and we come back. The alien fleets positioned themselves over the solar system. Calculated. Methodical. Perfect. They had fought thousands of wars. They had strategies designed to crush civilizations in weeks. They had never faced chaos like this. Because humans were unpredictable. Boarding pods dropped through asteroid fields rigged with mines. Alien shields flared, then went dark. Ships spun uncontrollably as gravitational traps detonated. Human marines breached hulls, laughing in the low-gravity corridors as laser fire tore through pristine alien metal. And yet, it wasn't mindless. Every mistake humans made was intentional. Every maneuver seemed chaotic, but chaos was their weapon. An alien commander reported nervously. "They fight irrationally, yet perfectly." During one boarding operation, Captain Aisha Rami of the Exodus-class Pathfinder cut her way into the control core of a flagship. An alien officer confronted her, weapons raised. She grinned, tired and bloodied. "Relax," she said. "We're not here to kill you. We're here to make sure you tell everyone else what happens if they try this again." The alien froze. Then everything went wrong. Across the galaxy, species began to shift allegiances. Not because humans were strongest. Not because they had the largest fleet. Because humans were the first to call out the Council for the atrocities they had committed in secret. And humans survived anyway. The alien strategy faltered. Imperfect algorithms failed to predict the humans' counterattacks. Predictable choke points were booby-trapped with centuries-old technology rediscovered from hidden Earth archives. Satellites, decades-old orbital weapons platforms, nuclear-tipped recon drones, all activated simultaneously. The Council's confidence cracked. Then, Hale received a message. One that made him grin in the dim light of the command center. It was from the Pathfinder fleet. "Granddad would be proud. We're bringing the whole gang home. Let's show these bureaucrats why you don't mess with Earth." The next 48 hours were a symphony of destruction. Asteroids hurled at capital ships. Boarding parties overwhelmed superior AI defenses. Entire fleets vanished into nothingness. Communication channels lit up with human humor mid-battle. One Marine transmitted to the Council flagship. "Welcome to Earth. Population pissed off. Enjoy your stay." The galaxy watched in horror. Primitive species had done the unthinkable. Humans weren't merely defending their home. They were reminding the galaxy. The human diaspora never forgets. Humanity adapts. Humanity retaliates. And while the aliens had expected chaos, they were unprepared for coordinated chaos on this scale. Every human ship that arrived had its own agenda, its own style, its own twisted sense of justice. Yet together, they formed a mosaic of destruction no Council plan could predict. By the end of the first wave, the Council had lost 2/3 of its forward fleet. Strategic positions were abandoned. Orders went unheeded. Alien commanders realized, too late, that Earth had never been a single planet. It had been a seed. And now, it had grown teeth. The galaxy learned something new that day. Not all primitive species are weak. Not all civilizations obey the rules. Not every human is a diplomat, soldier, or survivor. But every human, every one who calls Earth home, has the capacity for revenge, brilliance, and chaos. And once awakened, they come back. Back on Earth, Hale watched the broadcasts of alien ships spinning helplessly in space. He finished his cigar and muttered, "Good. Let them see. Let them know what happens when you underestimate humanity." And somewhere deep in space, among the scattered remnants of human colonies, the Exodus fleet continued its approach. Because in the end, humans never leave home quietly. They return. The war nobody won. The final stage didn't happen over Earth. It happened at the Council Core, a sprawling megastructure wrapped around a dying star, the administrative heart of galactic power. Every fleet, every enforcer, every loyal bureaucrat had gathered there, expecting a clean victory over a primitive species. They were wrong. General Marcus Hale watched the live feeds from orbit. His uniform was scorched, his eyes red from 3 days without sleep. The humans returning from the Exodus fleet weren't just soldiers. They were living legends, battle-hardened by decades in deep space. Some had been gone since the 20th century. Some were born aboard ships that had circled the galaxy twice. They didn't operate as one unit. They operated as humans always do, unpredictably, violently, brilliantly. The Council fleets were mathematically perfect. Coordination algorithms, decades of simulations, tactical doctrines applied without mercy. They outnumbered the humans 5-1. But perfection is fragile. Chaos is not. Asteroids converted into kinetic weapons. Orbiting debris fields turned into mines. Alien shields overloaded from attacks that had no discernible pattern. Boarding crews breached flagship after flagship, often laughing in low gravity while alien officers tried to explain the futility of emotion-driven combat. Aboard one Council ship, Commander Athrill screamed in frustration as a human Marine recited poetry while dismantling the command deck. "Why are you reciting?" the commander demanded. "Because," the Marine replied with a grin. "You think this will bother us?" It did. The final act came unexpectedly. Somewhere, no one ever confirmed exactly who, uploaded a virus to the Council Core's mainframe. The virus wasn't elegant. It wasn't subtle. It was written in 17 human languages and one line of pure mathematical sarcasm. "Your plan is adorable." The megastructure shuddered. Systems failed. Command networks collapsed. The core didn't explode, it froze, a monument to hubris and human cunning. General Hale recorded one final transmission to the galaxy. "Humanity isn't here to rule the stars," he said, voice low, tired yet fierce. "We're here to make sure nobody else does. Because if you threaten our home, every human who has ever left it eventually comes back. And they bring friends." Ambassador Elena Torres stood across from HFY Thala once more. They were no longer enemies. They were survivors. "You could have ruled everything," HFY Thala said. Torres shrugged. "We can barely run our own planet. Why would we want yours?" The alien paused, studying her. Then nodded slowly. Classification updated. Unpredictable. Emotionally volatile. Extremely dangerous. Surprisingly ethical under pressure. Back on Earth, life resumed with quiet absurdity. Traffic jams. Political arguments. Sports riots. Coffee shops reopened. Children played in streets that had only days before been within view of alien shipyards. Yet the galaxy had learned a new rule. When humans say enough, they mean it. And when humans return, the universe takes notice. And somewhere in deep space, the Exodus fleet continued its patrol. They were ready, waiting, always circling back toward Earth. Not for conquest. Not for domination. But for defense. Because humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its fleets. Its tech. Its cunning. It was this. If you threatened their home, eventually, every human who had ever left it came back. The Council would never forget. The galaxy would never forget. And humanity? They went back to arguing over parking tickets, sports scores, and who forgot to fix the coffee machine.